Morning Grace Baptist. We're here at Blomidon Farm, owned and operated by our very own James and Toby Hill, here in Breadalbane, PEI. And so if you'd all turn your Bibles this morning to John chapter 10. John chapter 10, and we're going to read the first 18 verses together this morning. As you'll notice behind me, we're here with the sheep, and we just wanted to start out reading this passage in this environment. And so let's look then at John chapter 10, the first 18 verses. Jesus speaking, "Truly, truly, I say to you, he who does not enter the sheepfold by the door, but climbs in by another way, that man is a thief and a robber. But he who enters by the door is the shepherd of the sheep. To him the gatekeeper opens. The sheep hear his voice, and he calls his own sheep by name and leads them out. When he has brought out all his own, he goes before them, and the sheep follow him, for they know his voice. A stranger they will not follow, but they will flee from him, for they do not know the voice of strangers." This figure of speech Jesus used with them, but they did not understand what he was saying to them. So Jesus again said to them, "Truly, truly, I say to you, I am the door of the sheep. All who came before me are thieves and robbers, but the sheep did not listen to them. I am the door. If anyone enters by me, he will be saved, and will go in and out and find pasture. The thief comes only to steal and kill and destroy. I came that they may have life and have it abundantly. I am the good shepherd. The good shepherd lays down his life for the sheep. He who is a hired hand and not a shepherd, who does not own the sheep, sees the wolf coming and leaves the sheep and flees, and the wolf snatches them and scatters them. He flees because he is a hired hand and cares nothing for the sheep. I am the good shepherd. I know my own, and my own know me, just as the Father knows me, and I know the Father, and I lay down my life for the sheep. And I have other sheep that are not of this fold. I must bring them also, and they will listen to my voice. So there will be one flock, one shepherd. For this reason the Father loves me, because I lay down my life that I might take it up again. No one takes it up from me, but I lay it down of my own accord. I have authority to lay it down, and I have authority to take it up again. This charge I have received from my Father." This is God's word. Well, we're here with Toby and James, and I just wanted to chat sheep for a little bit as we open up the service this morning. Guys, in this passage it talks about the shepherd knowing each of his sheep by name, and what's unique about how you guys do your shepherding is that you know them by name. And so if you guys could just let us know what some of the names of the sheep are. And
Alright, well, this is Sapphire, and her twin sister Opal over here. And we have Pearl. This is 3 of our lambs from this year. Peggy behind you.
This is Pearl's mom here.
okay,
This is
This
her
is
baby.
Peggy.
yeah,
This is Clover, sticking her head through to look at
say
you.
hi.
Say hi. So these are last year's, 2 of last year's lambs.
Eleanor. These are some of our boys from this year. And then we've got Tulip and Petunia and Iris and Arthur, who's Daddy.
That's the papa. Toby, you helped deliver some lambs. Was it last year? And this? Or?
Well, we deliver all of them ourselves.
Yes, but I mean,
So,
you
but
had
they're-
kind of a
We actually
special
only,
bond.
We actually only had one this year that came out by herself.
Yes, all
okay.
the
And
rest
they all
is-
had help.
And that was this little one.
Yeah, all the rest of them have needed some help this year,
It was a
but
tiny little thing because everybody was very big this year.
Petunia here, she was the first one that was born last year, and she was stuck. She was Gwen's baby last year, and she was stuck on the way out and needed some assistance. But now she's kind of my special girl. Every time I come in here when they're not eating, they're quite busy right now. But when they're not eating, and if I just come and sit in here, she will come and lay down with me and put her head in my lap and kind of cuddle up. She's kind of my special girl. So.
This is the guy that I thought was dead.
Yeah.
That's the guy
This
there.
is the guy I pulled out.
Yeah.
There was no way I was going to let him die on me.
That was Coco's boy. Coco's the one right behind
And as
me.
you can see, I mean, he's a big boy. This is one of our original mamas,
Yes.
and he's as big as her now. And
He's still trying to nurse
he's
her.
only
Instead
3
of
months
chasing her
old.
around, he's trying to nurse.
So he's only 3 months old.
Yeah.
So because of the size of the flock, guys, there must be more of a special connection with your animals than you would with a larger flock, obviously. I mean, I'm just similar to the passages we're going to explore this morning, but to know each of your sheep by name, characteristics, that kind of stuff. I mean, not that
We do, and we
Yeah.
notice when something's wrong. We notice, like I say, we brought the sheep in and one of them was limping. You notice that straight away, so you check that out. And even the way we've set the barn up intentionally so that we can't just walk down an aisle and feed them and not even, we have to physically get in with the sheep. That's why the racks are over here, not over there.
Yes, right.
So that we actually physically have to be in with the sheep, so we check them. I try and get my hands on them so that we know what kind of condition they're in.
Yes. Now,
Because
guys, there was
it's-
one of them that had a pretty gnarly,
Pretty gnarly abscess.
and that's something you can recognize fairly early and
Yes,
take care of
we
it.
noticed that
We
out
noticed
in the
it
field.
in the
and,
field, so then we went out in the field and we dealt with it,
lanced it and drained it and cleaned it out.
and now everything's good.
Which again is kind of neat to use, that Jesus uses the shepherd analogy, but he's not aloof. He's right in there in the muck and the and the abscesses and the broken legs.
Well, and as you can see, it's not sanitized clean in
No.
here. It's and I mean they're half in, half out. This is fairly clean.
Mhm.
When we're lambing, we're confined to this end of the barn, and they're in 24/7 at lambing time. So there's a lot more. You get down on your hands and knees, and you're in the dirt and the muck. And
if you have a lamb that is stuck, then
You go
roll
in
up
and
your
roll it.
sleeves and you reach in and you reposition and you pull the baby out. So
It's all hands on.
it's all hands on and hands in, as the case may be.
Now, I have probably been guilty of this myself, but a lot of pastors and individuals that talk about sheep would say they're dumb.
No.
That is not the case.
No,
What are
no.
some adjectives you guys would use to describe sheep?
This particular breed, anyway. I mean, these are Icelandic sheep, and so this is an ancient breed of sheep that has not been crossbred to try and increase, meat production or anything like that. These guys are the Icelandic sheep here in Canada are very much the way that the Icelandic sheep are in Iceland. This is a heritage breed. They've not been mucked around with.
And
Yes.
these are more akin to what biblical sheep would be like.
Yes.
They're a leaner carcass. They've got like they're bony.
Mm-hmm.
Like you can feel the bones in their body. They're a horned breed, obviously, which is what sheep would have been
Yes.
back then.
But they're good thinkers. They're very clever. They're very sociable.
Yeah.
But they're problem solvers. They work things out. They're
inquisitive. I
They're
think.
inquisitive.
Very
You're saying?
inquisitive.
and sometimes that gets them into trouble. But for the most part, like I say, these I would not call these stupid animals at all. These guys are smart and very interested in all of their environment. But they do stick together. They do have kind of a herd mentality.
And they lead each other,
and they
which
lead-
is the whole analogy, the flock mentality,
Yes.
where Jesus compares us to sheep.
Right.
Because when one does something that they shouldn't, they tend to all
all
do
do
something
it.
that they
Follow.
shouldn't.
Yeah.
How obviously one of the big things from the passage is the importance of care. So how dependent are they on you guys for things? Jesus uses this relationship very purposefully. So
They're dependent on us to the point that we provide the shelter for them,
Yes.
and we have grazing, but we manage the grazing,
yeah,
so we don't overgraze, so they're
Yes.
dependent on us for that.
yes.
And
Protection would be something
protection, I mean, that's why we bring them into the barn at night,
Yeah.
because we do have predators, so it's more for our peace of mind.
Yes, they could certainly
They
live outside and
certainly
we
could
wouldn't
be
care, but
outside.
we don't. That's not the way we do things. We prefer them to be in here
Yeah.
and safe at night when we can't keep an eye on them, and when things like foxes and coyotes are more likely to be out. So, and obviously all the health care, they're dependent on us for their health care. We have to trim their feet. This breed of sheep has to be sheared twice a year.
Right.
So they're sheared in the spring and they're sheared again in the fall. And if we didn't do that, they would overheat. And
I mean, you can see this one little one here, she's panting away a little bit, that's her cooling herself down.
Yeah.
But I mean, she has quite a bit of wool there.
So several inches of wool, and they've got quite a bit of
So
growing
in
to do yet.
3 months, she's managed to grow what, 4 inches of wool.
So last question, guys, as we wrap up. One of the biggest things, and we'll get into this in the passage, but this comes on the heels of John 9, where clearly the religious leaders don't care about this guy who was born blind. They cast him out of the synagogue, they have no care for him. And this is what Jesus says, is that thieves and robbers don't care about the sheep. The hireling doesn't care about the sheep. It's the shepherd and the shepherdess that care about the sheep. So how much does that mean to you guys? There's more than just, I mean, certainly they give you wool, they provide different things for you, but there's more to what you're doing here than just what you get out of it, I guess. So maybe just speak to the care for the sheep just as we wrap up, that your primary concern is their well-being, I guess.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, we
Yeah.
want
Absolutely.
the best for them. I mean, we want them to have the best life possible,
Yes.
so that from that standpoint, it encompasses everything. Like every day, we don't want one to be lame. We don't
Yes.
want one to be hurting. We don't want one to be in difficulty, in trouble, in distress. So
Well, in the way that we've knocked down the walls in here to give them, I mean, technically the number of sheep that we have
We could
by law, be in that amount
Right,
of space at the
yes.
end of the barn right there.
Yeah.
And that's considered adequate
Yes.
provision for them.
Yeah.
In my mind, that is not adequate.
Yeah.
In my mind, they need this much room.
Yeah.
They're not fighting, they've got plenty of room, there's different spaces to eat, so,
Yeah.
some of them can eat down there, some can eat down here, and nobody's fighting for
Yes.
food, nobody's
Yeah.
being pushed away from the trough and
Yeah,
not able to
collected
eat at
or-
all.
yeah.
So, no, I mean, yes, the boys will go for meat, I mean, that's part of raising these,
Yeah.
they're meat animals, they're
Sure.
wool animals, but our thing is that until the day that they go for meat, they're gonna have the best life possible.
Yep.
They're gonna receive the best care possible, and when the time comes for them to be used for a purpose, then they will know a very minimal amount of pain and suffering, and their life up to that point will have been as good as it possibly could have been made by us.
Well, thanks so much, guys, for letting us come on out and visit. And I'm sure we'll be back.